doing in his office right now, right?
To do is apply those methods to more realistic spacetimes like de Sitter space, um, and see what they tell us. And
All right.
in
That tells us with de Sitter space that the positive cosmological constant, right? This is positive cosmological constant will equal 0. All right. Now, why does it tell us it equals 0? Because it's constant. It has to equal a constant. So it's constant. So it'd be 0, right? All right. So go on.
particular, there's some seemingly totally crazy thing that they're currently telling us, which I and others are trying to understand, which is that if you have quantum gravity in a closed universe,
Listen, like a lot of scientists, when we see the exact same thing that we see here, right? And we look at this same thing and we try and break down this equation and then 0. We refine it back. We end up in the same principle. Stop trying to avoid us dropping bombs, man. Like, damn.
with no spatial boundary, then the number of fundamental degrees of freedom is 0, which sounds totally nuts, right? And yet, if you believe everything that we were just saying, the holographic principle and so on, right? Well, the holographic principle says all the fundamental degrees of freedom are out at the spatial boundary. And so if there's no spatial boundary, then what
Well, I always
fundamental?
thought it would be like the cosmological horizon intuitively for de Sitter space, but you're telling me that's not the right way of thinking about it then.
Yeah, so that's one of the ways that you try to think about it. But if you try to think about it on global slices, where you think about what's happening in the whole universe,
Yeah, sure.
uh, which in the black hole context, before people said, "Oh, well, you probably shouldn't think about it on global slices. Oh, nobody can really go in and look all the way at the shell that made the black hole. We're outside. We should just think about it from the outside." And people often said that similarly in De Sitter, you should just think in the static patch
Yeah.
within one cosmological horizon. But one of the things we learned is that the
But we don't, all right? Now, the reason why we don't is because, right, we now have a cosmological constant that equals 0. Now, we can make this not be constant. Why? By taking a portion of this 0 and cutting it in half